Because of social media, kids are exposed to designer goods at such a young age, and they're not only put in this position where they want these design items and their parents cannot buy it for them, so they feel that they're lacking, and they feel like, I know it sounds like these kids might be spoiled, but they're not. Like, when you're a kid, you just don't understand that you can't have everything. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. If you love shopping and handbag videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. So my topics recently have kind of been directed towards how luxury is kind of going downhill in terms of the quality. We have so many super fakes now. I feel like brands are overproducing, and it just, in my head, I feel I question, like, what is the future of luxury fashion? I'm 32 years old, so I've kind of seen how luxury fashion has progressed over the last 10 years or so, and having studied fashion and I'm someone who is really into, watching runway shows and that sort of thing. I've always had an interest in fashion, but I'm finding that there are a lot more people interested in designer labels as opposed to 10 years ago. And I think that's because with the rise of TikTok and Instagram and social media in general, many more people are desiring buying designer labels, including kids, which is crazy because I know when I was a kid, I had no desire to buy a Gucci or Versace bag or anything like that, because in my head, they were things that were for adults. I used to watch runway shows in high school, being 13, 14 years old, and I used to think like, wow, they're so amazing. And to be honest, watching runway shows at a young age probably gave me bad body issues. Like, I always wanted to be skinny, and that's a whole different topic. But in terms of the actual fashion, I had no thought in my head that I had to go out and buy a Gucci bag because I was watching this Gucci runway show or something like that, because it wasn't really as normalized on social media. And I remember when Facebook first came out, it was just like, I don't know, when I was growing up, it was like more about surf brands and just like random shops in the mall. Like, it was nothing like how it is now. I'm seeing on social media in particular a lot of kids wearing, or their parents putting them in Gucci and Burberry and Chanel little mini bags and that sort of thing, which is fine if you are growing up in a society that is quite wealthy and your parents are able to give you these really expensive pieces. I think that's fine, but the problem is that this is now displayed on social media, so kids can kind of see that, oh, that girl has a little Chanel bag, I want a Chanel bag, or that girl has Miu Miu sneakers, I want those sneakers. And when you're a kid, you don't realize that your parents can't afford things, or you're like, when I was little, I thought my parents were like the most intelligent people in the world. I thought they were like really rich, which they're obviously, they are intelligent, but you just, when you're like under 10 years old, you have a different perception of the world, and you can't comprehend why your mom or dad can't buy you like a Chanel bag or something, right? But I've noticed a lot more kids get into designer brands, which is completely unheard of compared to when I was younger, and I'm 32 years old. So yes, when I was under 10, the internet was still new, and I was playing Neopets and that sort of thing. I was not really exposed to designer brands as much as kids are now. And I think it's a bit dangerous because, I question what is the future of luxury brands. I've seen them kind of go downhill and whatever, but the truth is a lot of these kids are being exposed to designer brands at a young age, and they're going to grow up to desire these brands and spend the money that they will be in 10 years. Like, designer brands are so expensive right now, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Chanel bag has gone up so much. What is it going to be like in 10 years? How much is a Birkin going to be in 10 years? Well, kids are going to grow up in 10 years and still spend the money on these bags because it's something that they've desired from such a young age. Watching YouTube now, a lot of the YouTubers who are like 30, 40 years old, they might buy like something from the Murakami collection or, a vintage Chanel and say, I wanted this ever since I was 25, or I wanted this ever since, I was studying in uni, which seems pretty normal, right? But I really think that kids are going to grow up, when they're 20, 30 years old and say, I've wanted this ever since I saw it on Jennie from Blackpink. Like, when I was 8 years old. Because of social media, kids are exposed to designer goods at such a young age, And they're not only put in this position where they want these design items and their parents cannot buy it for them, so they feel that they're lacking, and they feel like, I know it sounds like these kids might be spoiled, but they're not. Like, when you're a kid, you just don't understand that you can't have everything. You know, I was drinking coffee yesterday in a public area, and I was next to a mum and a daughter, and the daughter was crying like crazy, and she was like, "Mom, it's not fair. Alexandra is getting 6 presents. Why can't I have 2 presents?" And the mum was just like, "You can only choose 1 present for your birthday, okay? Only 1 present. I don't care if Alexandra is getting 6 presents, okay? You're not." And the kid was like, "I want 2 presents at least. I want 2. And then anyway, the girl was so upset because she couldn't have 6 presents, and the mum was just like, "You're only getting 1 present. You can choose 1 present. Life is not about getting what you want. You cannot always get what you want, and you can't always get what other people have. Life is not about that, unfortunately. I do not have the money to buy you 6 presents. You are getting 1 present. Stacey's mum didn't even let Stacey go to the party. So at least I said yes to you going to the party, okay?" And the girl was like, "No, it's not fair. Like, why can't I have 2 presents?" She's like, "No, like, life is not about getting what you want." And the girl was just like, "I can do what I want. Like, I need this. I want," like, she sounded very spoiled, right? But to be fair, she was like 7. So, you know, when you're that age, you can be a bit in your own world, like a bit delusional. Like, you don't understand that life is not about having everything you want. And, you know, when you grow up, you can buy those things because you have money and you have to make sacrifice. You have to work your butt off or sacrifice your time. But when you're a kid, you just expect your parents to buy you things. And, you know, parents are put into this position where they feel like their kid feels like they're not getting enough things when they're being completely unreasonable. And then mix into that, the combination of that, and then imagine if this girl wanted like a Gucci bag or something. Like, I'm sure there are parents out there who are struggling with their kids wanting like a Chanel mini bag or something now because they've seen it on celebrities. And this is something that kids wouldn't have been exposed to before social media and all that. So I think that feeling that this girl had, that she was lacking and she wasn't deserving of 6 presents, like, that is something that she's gonna remember when she's older, and she's gonna probably splash out and buy a lot of things, like, for herself. And maybe she'll, like, it's just something that will be embedded in her brain, this, like, feeling like she couldn't treat herself back then because her mum couldn't buy her 6 presents. And I know it sounds like a bit crazy, but it's true. Like, kids are going to grow up and want to buy these designer brands because it's something that has been brainwashed into them at a very young age. And that is why these designer brands are going to keep surviving and keep pushing the limits of what they can do to manipulate people. Like, they're going to keep making crap products, churning them out like crazy, like fast fashion, making them cost $1 million, and people will want to buy them because that is what they aspire to have. And yes, I am also brainwashed. Yes, I bought 1 million handbags. Yes, I spent so much money, and I'm guilty of that. But I think at least I'm an adult and I can make decisions, and I have kind of the rationale to be like, okay, Jess, you can't have that. You got to slow down. Sorry, Jess, you can't buy the alligator Birkin, like, even though you want it. Like, you know, when you're an adult, you can rationalize, but when you're a kid, you can't. So I think it's sad that kids have to grow up in this age where designer things are normalized, because they're not normal. It's really not normal. And, you know, you can see people on social media getting jealous of other people because they bought something, and, you know, they're adults, okay? I don't really feel sorry for adults because they should be grown up enough to have sense as to understand what they can have and what they can't have. And, you know, people go into debt and whatever, that's their own business. But when you're a kid and you feel that pressure to want to have really expensive things, I mean, that is a pressure that kids just shouldn't have. Like, it's sad, and it's a direction I think that we're going to go into the future, and designer brands will benefit from that, unfortunately. And it sounds evil, but it's a business, and that is what is happening. So I don't think luxury is dying, even though I've noticed on the pre-love market the prices are dropping. People are less interested in designer goods as opposed to in, you know, COVID and the lockdowns. I know people were going crazy for designer goods during those times, and after those years of COVID and the interest rates of mortgages going up and the cost of living going up, you know, people who are like over 30 are probably slowing down a little bit with the luxury if you're not super wealthy. but kids are still going to grow up and want to buy luxury. It's a sad truth. And I've seen so many teenagers want to buy luxury, which is completely different to how I felt as a teenager, as someone who was into fashion. It's just, for me, it was not a normal thing to want to buy a Gucci bag. And it's something that I thought in my head was for adults, but that is not what is going on now. So anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts on this topic. Thanks for listening to my blabby video as usual, and I'll talk to you guys on my next one. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.